Depending on how you grew up eating it, you might only know Hủ Tiếu one way, but it actually comes in two completely different forms. One is light and comforting, the other is rich, saucy, and honestly, my favorite. You can't know one and not the other. So I ain't holding out on you. I'm gonna show you both versions and exactly how I like to build my bowl. Because with this one, it's all about customization. So let's start with the broth. Hủ Tiếu broth is very light, but super flavorful. It's typically a pork-based broth that's been infused with a lot of dried seafood like dried shrimp and dried squid. And even though it's not super heavy in spices like a pho, the use of the dried seafood really adds a lot of umami and depth. So to make our broth, we're gonna need to use a lot of pork bones. Today I'm using about 3.5 pounds of pork spine bone. Another really good cut that you can use is pork neck bone if you want to be able to eat the meat off that bone. It's so good and tender. So the first thing I'm gonna do is parboil this and then rinse off all the impurities. Then we'll start building our broth. Okay, so once the bones are all nice and clean, return them to a clean pot and fill it with cold water. So the first thing I'm gonna add to this broth is some daikon radish. This is said to give the broth a lot of sweetness. I cut them into these large chunks because they get soft really quickly, so you don't want them falling apart and getting all mushy in the stock. Like any other broth that I make, I also like to add one whole yellow or white onion. Next, let's add our dried squid. The dried squid and dried shrimp you can buy at any Asian grocery store. Usually they're in the refrigerated section. So in order for you to unlock the full aroma of the shrimp and squid, remember to pan fry them first, okay? And then wash them really, really well to get all that white powdery stuff off because it's very dusty and very dirty. You want that washed off before you put it in your broth. So for now, let's add a little bit of sea salt and rock sugar just so we can develop some natural sweetness. And later on, we'll do our final tasting and seasoning later. As always, guys, make me proud and skim that broth until it is crystal clear. This is how you're gonna bring honor to your Vietnamese ancestors. So while that's going, let's get all our toppings prepared. As you can see, there's a lot of ingredients in front of me. I'm usually the first to tell you if a recipe is easy peasy, but this one is a little bit more involved. But the end product is gonna be so good because there's gonna be so much textural variety and contrast that it's totally worth it. So one of the toppings I have is sa siu. A lot of you guys know this as Chinese char siu pork. You can buy this made at any Chinese barbecue shop, but I actually just released a video a couple days ago on how to make this at home yourself. So check that out if you wanna learn how to do that. The second pork topping is going to be pan-fried ground pork. So the first thing we're gonna do is marinate this. So let's marinate this pork with some green onions, a little bit of chicken bouillon, a little bit of sugar, fish sauce, and ground black pepper. And as I go through and prepare these toppings, you can take a look and assess at which you want to eat and which you want to omit because it's all up to you, right? Some of these toppings that I'm showing are the quintessential or the traditional toppings, but there's really no rules around it. What's important is that you make the broth the way that I show you, but in terms of toppings, just use whatever you like. Okay, so that's all marinated. Let's leave it aside for a few minutes and we're gonna go pan fry that very soon. Heat a pan with a bit of neutral oil, then go in with your minced shallots and garlic and let that cook until lightly golden and fragrant. Add in your ground pork and break it up as it cooks. You don't want any big clumps here. Let it get a bit of color so it actually develops some flavor. And once it's cooked through, add a ladle of your simmering broth because this is gonna keep the pork nice and juicy and it helps it absorb a bit more of that flavor. Then transfer it out and set it aside. We're gonna come back to this when we build the bowl. Blanch your shrimp by bringing a pot of water to a boil, then adding a few slices of ginger. Add in your shrimp and cook just until they're done. You don't want to overcook them. Once they're cooked, remove them and rinse under cold water to stop the cooking, then peel them, leaving the tail on for a nicer presentation. If you're using liver, give it a good rinse and soak it in a bit of milk for about 30 minutes. Bring it up to a simmer and let it cook for 12 minutes before taking it out and slicing it thin. If you're using any other proteins like squid, imitation crab, or fish balls, give them a good blanch, then set everything aside on a platter. This is gonna make things a lot more fun and easy when we go to build the bowls later. This is looking amazing. And now that the proteins are done, let's cook our noodles. Hủ Tiếu noodles are a little bit different and they're typically only used for this dish. So when you go to buy this, remember to buy the version that says Tieu Nam Vang because that's the one that's gonna have both rice flour and tapioca flour, and that's the one we're using for this dish. Cook your noodles in boiling water for about 5 to 7 minutes, but keep an eye on them. My package said 12 to 14 minutes, but they were actually already soft at around 5. So you want them just tender with a bit of bounce, so don't overcook them. Drain and rinse them really well under cold water, then toss them with a tiny splash of neutral oil so they don't stick together. Next, let's get our fresh herbs ready. What we have here is Chinese celery. I've washed it well and I'm gonna cut it into about 2-inch pieces. If you can't find this, you can also use the leafy parts of regular celery. That should work too. This here is garlic chives. Trim the ends and cut them into small 1-inch bite-sized pieces. pieces. They had a really nice garlicky flavor, but a little bit less intense than raw garlic. If you can't find this, green onions are a better substitute than the smaller regular chives. Slice up some Fresno chilies. If you like a bit of heat, then give your bean sprouts a really good wash. And that's our platter of fresh toppings. Look how amazing that looks. Now, you can absolutely stop here, but this next part is for those of you who want a little extra credit, okay? Anyone know what this is? This is pork fat, and we're gonna render this down to make thop ma, Vietnamese pork cracklings. Add it to a pan over medium heat and let the fat slowly render out. If it starts to brown too quickly, just add a splash of water to help it along. Once the pieces are golden and crispy, scoop them out and set them aside, but keep that oil. We're gonna use it to make the next star, fried garlic. Add in your minced garlic and keep a close eye on it. As soon as it turns lightly golden, take it out because it will keep cooking from the residual heat. Let it cool on a paper towel so it can crisp up, and there you have it. These two will take your bowl from good to really legit. If you order this in a restaurant, you're gonna have to specify whether you want it with broth or dry. If you get it with broth, it's gonna be served to you like any other Vietnamese noodle soup. But if you order it dry, it's likely gonna come with a side of sauce that's savory, sweet, and packed with umami. It's so yummy. To make the sauce for your dry noodle bowl, start by adding to a bowl fish sauce, soy sauce, oyster sauce, sugar, chicken bouillon, black pepper, and a bit of water. I'll include the exact ratios in the recipe card below, and you're gonna want this, guys, because this sauce is everything. Heat up a saucepan, add a spoonful of that garlic-infused pork fat, then fry up some garlic. Once it's slightly golden, add in your sauce mixture and let it slowly reduce for about 5 to 7 minutes. Then add a generous amount of fried shallots and give it another minute or two. Pour it into a bowl, and that, my friend, is gonna be your new obsession, I promise you. So depending on who's made this for you in the past or where you've had this in the past, you may have had it in either wet or dry form. So I'm gonna show you both variations because both are so good. So while you watch me put together both the dry and soup versions, I wanna share a bit more about this dish. Tieu Nam Vang actually has roots in Cambodia. Nam Vang is the Vietnamese name for Phnom Penh, which is the capital city of Cambodia. It's closely related to the Cambodian noodle dish Quay Tieu, and over time it picked up influences from Chinese migrants, especially in the pork-based broths, noodles, and toppings. That's where you start to see things like sa siu, ground pork, and all these different toppings come into play. So even though you'll find this all over Saigon and on most overseas Vietnamese restaurant menus, it's really a fusion of Cambodian and Chinese influences. Pretty cool, right? So when you order this dry version in a restaurant, it will often come with a bowl of soup on the side, so you get a chance to taste that beautiful broth without having to commit. If it also comes with a piece of pork bone, then that's what we call si wek, and you're in for a treat. It's really good. So let's build the soup version now. What makes this one really different from other noodle soups is how light the broth is. It's not really meant to be heavy, it's all about balance. So start the same way, noodles and toppings, but save the pork cracklings and fried garlic for the very end so they stay a little crispy. Then pour over that broth. Look at how clear that is. Oh my goodness. I honestly don't know how you're gonna choose between the dry and the soup version. It's so hard. Guys, let me know in the comments below which of these is calling out to you right now, because I know which one I'm going for. Okay guys, there we have it. Both versions of Tieu Nam Vang. I made you guys a dry one and a brothy one. So let's see which one wins. So I'm gonna try the dry one first because that sauce looks really good. We have this beautiful succulent shrimp. We have our sa siu pork. We have the ground pork, our squid, our liver, all these nice herbs and veggies. If there's anything you take away from this video, please let it be the recipe for that sauce. You can put that on anything. Seriously. Okay, now onto the soup. The broth is so sweet. You can really taste all the dry seafood that's been infused in there. That made a huge difference. This one's really special. I'll see you guys next week for more Vietnamese favorites. Bye.